The ability to make cannabis extracts legal for patients is something that we think is a very important step in the evolution of cannabis as medicine in Canada. And the fact that patients haven't been able to legally make cannabis extracts is just backwards and goes against any common sense that should be applied to this program. Ted Smith, SMITH, and I'm with the International Hempology 101 Society. It's a nonprofit group. You can find us at hempology.ca. I also publish a newspaper, the Cannabis Digest, and we have an online version, the cannabisdigest.ca. We have daily blogs that you can keep up to date with current news. And we have forums there as well that have got even more news and information. And certainly I'm on Facebook as well, which is an easy way to keep up to date with things that I'm doing and other current trends in the industry. And so, there's a number of different, and we have a YouTube channel as well for Hempology that you can check out too. Today we're in the beautiful Cannabis Culture Vapor Lounge in the second floor at downtown on Hastings Street, downtown Vancouver. It's a beautiful sunny day, and everybody's pretty excited because Mark Emery's starting to make his way back home. Yeah, he's getting kind of bounced around like a ping pong ball, I guess, for a while here. But when the bureaucrats feel all the paperwork's in line, he'll be let free, and it's not an open process, which is quite frustrating. So that there's no real, set times that any decisions are being made about this. So it's frustrating. It could be a day. It could be even 8 months. They've held people as long as that, but it certainly won't be that long for Mark, given the amount of attention being brought to the situation. But we have a conservative government here in Canada that's probably not too interested in having him come home. So we'll see. The Cannabis Digest is something that we print 4 times a year, and Cannabis Culture is one of our advertisers, so we come here and share newspapers. In fact, today I'm likely to get on the show for a little bit and show off the newspaper. And given that the front cover was Mark and Jody, I was very happy to be the one to show Jody for the first time to see it. Gary Wintle, one of the staff here, did the front cover as well. Did a great job on the ad for Cannabis Culture in there as well. It's better than some of my front covers even, honestly, but Gary's a great artist and did the front cover, so I got to show him as well. So it's been really fun sharing this publication. In some ways, Mark Emery inspired me to do it because of his journey with the cannabis culture, and if you don't like what the media is printing about you, well, then you become the media, and then here I am. It's at various dispensaries and head shops, and I guess the best thing to do is to go to your local dispensary and head shop, and if they don't have it, ask them why or tell them about it. And and so we're willing to mail them out as a trial run and such, but we have to ask for some money now to help with shipping. We can't just ship them out for free, really. So if a company advertises head shop, we send them out newspapers and try to give them out to as many places that will support us as possible. Yeah, they can just send us an email, and I think we sell subscriptions for $10, so we'll mail people out like 4 times a year wherever they live, which is pretty reasonable for a subscription to a newspaper like this. So for people that want to be able to get their hands on a copy, like you say, this is history unfolding. We're watching it happen, and I'm very proud to have written this story and have the feature and front cover talk about what's happening with Mark and Jody, because it is historic and it's beyond the cannabis culture now. They're in there talking about how she's running for the Liberal Party here coming up, and it's really changing the face of Canadian society, what's been started here, and Mark's not even out of jail yet, so it's very interesting times here. Well, we won't print it more than 4 times a year. I'd like to print more than 10,000, So if I had more advertising and more money coming in, we'd be able to print a bigger run of it, which would be nice, because I'd like to spread beyond Canada. It's mostly a Canadian-focused publication right now, but we have some connections with Jamaica and in the United States. So certainly the United States is so massive and growing that we could, if I guess I'm not allowed in the States, but if someone was to help out, I guess, or more effort would be distributed more widely there. But I'm happy with the daily blogs that we're putting out. That's been very good to keep people current, and I don't see us printing it more often. But we may end up with. I could see having different places have some articles that are local. If we print, say, 100,000, we may have like a U.S. version and a Canadian version with some international stories, but that's a little ways off. I guess the other thing that is still up in the air is the extract trial, the cannabis extract trial from Owen Smith when he worked for me at the Cannabis Buyers Club in Victoria. And it's really something that could happen any day now. It's been 7 months that we were before the Court of Appeal, and that decision there could do any number of things, but it's quite likely that we'll get a unanimous decision that will force the government to make cannabis extracts legal across the country. And so we're really quite excited to have this coming. We're again anticipating a victory, obviously, but if we get a split decision, we're going to the Supreme Court of Canada, which would be an interesting journey as well. But the ability to make cannabis extracts legal for patients is something that we think is a very important step in the evolution of cannabis as medicine in Canada. And the fact that patients haven't been able to legally make cannabis extracts is just backwards, and goes against any common sense that should be applied to this program. And so it's something that we're really proud to have been the sort of instigator in that. We realize the coalition and the injunction are kind of picking up the fight there, but we're fairly confident that our decision will force the government to open that door for patients in such a way that there won't be any fear of persecution for making cannabis butters and oils and hash and stuff like that. That should be as legal as the plant. Owen Smith was arrested in a bakery in Victoria, British Columbia in December 2009 in the middle of making cookies. He was charged with trafficking, possession for the purpose of THC, and we filed a constitutional challenge. We brought in Dr. David Pate. Kirk Tusaw was the legal counsel for it, and we were able to convince a judge in what's called a voir dire to strike down the MMAR as unconstitutional for not allowing cannabis extracts. And so that case affected the MMAR. Now we have the MMPR. And so when that was finally over, it was appealed, and last December we got before 3 judges here in Vancouver, actually. And the judges actually wanted to hear more about standing, which was not a matter that was really important before the first judge. In fact, he dismissed it and thought that we could proceed with a criminal trial even though he found the law unconstitutional. The appeal court judges, though, were quite aware of the legal matter of standing, which doesn't allow someone to be convicted of a law that's been found unconstitutional. It goes back to Morgentaler and abortions. If a law is unconstitutional, even if you don't need to break that law yourself for your own health, someone else may have to, and if you facilitate that, well, according to our law, you can't be found guilty any more than the person that the law is intended for. And so this legal matter of standing is one that is very important in this case, because it's pretty clear to the judges, I think, that cannabis extract should be legal if the plant's legal. That if you can't make tea out of cannabis, then it's absurd. It's pretty clear. But the problem they have is that if they strike the law down, they have to strike it down for everybody, which essentially could create a situation where cannabis extracts are legal to possess, traffic, produce in any quantity until such time as a legal source of cannabis extracts is made available to patients. It's a little loophole that existed back when Mark Emery did his Summer of Legalization tour, back when the Hitzig decision struck down the law. And between October 2003 and August 2004, you couldn't have been convicted of possession or trafficking in cannabis because there's nowhere for patients to buy it until the government started to sell in August 2004. Then that loophole closed. We would be looking at a very similar situation where cannabis extracts might be virtually, unenforceable, those laws for possibly up to a year. The government's asked for a year to come up with a program for extracts with licensed producers, and so it may be that we have this kind of grace period where, it's a bit of a free-for-all. When I started working with Hempology, I guess coming up 19 years ago, and I don't have my book here for crying out loud, but I've written a book, Hempology 101, The History and Uses of Cannabis. It's for sale downstairs. But I moved to Victoria to write my book and teach up at UVic and do that work. And then I started meeting patients, and I lived in a van. I got a pager and a pamphlet and started delivering to sick people. With the dream of starting up or getting a store and starting up a nonprofit and changing the law. In a way, it sort of worked out much like that. I moved from a van to an apartment within months, operated out of an apartment for almost 5 years, then actually was told by the police to get a store in 2001. For the last 13 years, we've had a store. And when Owen got busted and went through court, one of the side effects was that after the law was struck down as unconstitutional, the police took the court decision to Revenue Canada, who came after me for back taxes. I ended up declaring bankruptcy against $250,000 in uncollected GST, because I never collected it, let alone paid it, and turned the club into a nonprofit society. So now the club's a fully functional nonprofit society. It matured enough that I had the right staff to take it over, and so they are really looking after the club and dealing with it in ways that I never could have individually, because I just barely got the club going and then just kind of went off to activism and something else. I was, with Hempology, I've done a lot of different work, so having people focus on the club has been a very good thing, because it happened right around the time my book came out. So I've kind of switched gears to my newspaper and become much more I guess broadly focused than in Victoria with that one dispensary now. Well, again, it's not my dispensary, it's a nonprofit now. So I guess unfortunately my personal life's gone a little sideways. My girlfriend's got cancer and has become quite ill with it, although she's recovered a little bit in the last little while. So we're really hoping that the medicine's working, taking a lot of cannabis and some other medicines, and hopefully it's starting to kick in, but it's been a real struggle. So I've really backed out of a lot of my cannabis work. My newspaper is about as much as I can handle, and I'm actually starting to get more involved in peyote ceremonies, which is an interesting journey to go in. So I've kind of shifted gears a little bit. In fact, I'm about a year away from starting a youth center in Victoria, so I'm working on a business plan for a sort of interesting concept for a youth center. And so it's been interesting. When I started this work 19 years ago, a lot of people thought I was quite flaky for thinking it would ever become legal. And I spent a long time beating this drum. And now it's there, it's coming, with Washington State and other things moving. I and most other people see it as being a matter of time, not a matter of if anymore. I don't need to do the work. I never got into it for the money. Everybody's into making money now, and sometimes it bothers me what's going on, but it's whatever. I'm just, wanted to educate for change, and it's happened. Now I have other things to change and do in my life, and it's been a pleasure. I'm going to keep the newspaper for sure. I've got something going on that at least gets me a little bit of food to eat. But yeah, I've been doing this for 19 years now, and so it's time for a little bit different. And like I say, with my girlfriend being so sick, it's kind of thrown me off track too. The preference is hash. put into just enough hemp oil to make it a liquid so you can put it into veggie caps. So you get about 1/4 of a gram of hash into a veggie cap. And if you've decarboxylated it and put it into hemp oil, it's more bioavailable than Rick Simpson or honey oil. Plus it's got all the essential oils because they get cooked off a lot and doesn't have any toxic residues. One of the problems with her getting cancer is the amount of toxins and mercury in her body. So any more toxins is just not a good thing. We eat organic food and very healthy, and so, that being said, we get a little bit of oil from a few people that she takes. Hopefully it's, pretty clean, but, it's a gamble. Thanks for the help and the support, and keep up the great work.